There is always a time and a need for Cleveland Browns news and updates. However, just like anything, there is an exception to every rule, and we're going to talk about it right now on Browns 3D. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D on the OBR streaming network. And as always, we are thrilled and happy for everyone who comes on out and supports us every day through the written content through our fabulous team of writers, or joins us on the OBR streaming network every night beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern. Browns 3D kicks us off with me, of course, your host, Jeff Lloyd. Make sure you're subscribed to the OBR on YouTube. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to the OBR over on Twitch. Just want to put in some real life here real quick to start. Some sad news comes across today. Um, if you're of a certain age, you will understand what I'm speaking of. If you are not of a certain age, I do apologize. 32 years ago today was the airing of the finale of the wildly successful sitcom Cheers. Staple of my life, one of the greatest shows, in my opinion, that ever existed, and one of the main characters of Cheers was the man who sat in stool number one, Mr. George Wendt, playing the role of Norm Peterson. He has sadly passed on the same day of the 32nd anniversary of the finale of Cheers. To George Wendt, aka Norm Peterson, my friend, thank you so much for all the laughs. It was a heck of a ride. And to my good friend Stephen Thomas, the Norm to my Cliff is always sad day for us all. Now, back to your Cleveland Browns topics of the day. And look, we can always talk Cleveland Browns. We can always talk the roster. We can always talk players, movement, coaches, scheme. But my God, nobody, and I mean nobody, cares about an update on Deshaun Watson. I don't need to see video. I don't need to see where he is in his rehab from a second Achilles heel surgery, which was very close to the first one. He is never going to play another snap for the Cleveland Browns again. Ever. There are college quarterbacks right now who have started or about to start their summer recess, start their summer training, and go get ready for next fall in college football. Any one of those quarterbacks has a better opportunity of playing football and the quarterback position for the Cleveland Browns than Deshaun Watson does. My dog, who's in his teens and is probably pretty much completely deaf, and his joints aren't working so good anymore, has a better opportunity of playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Why this keeps getting brought back up, and I guess it's the old, hey, I'll take a negative attention. I'll take any attention. Nobody cares. Not one person in Cleveland Brown land cares what is going on with Deshaun Watson. So please, we don't need it. We don't care. We know it is over. It is completely over. And nobody wants to even hear the name associated with the franchise anymore in any way whatsoever. So I do it. This kind of reminds me of the years that went by on Friends after the Ross and Rachel, cheating, and we were on a break, and every couple of seasons they'd bring it up, and Ross would try to say we were on a break. And it just brought back the entire pain and misery of the situation all over again. It was the worst move in professional sports history. I don't think it'll ever be topped. Nobody wants a reminder. Nobody needs a reminder. Everyone in regards to the Cleveland Browns is onward and upward at this point. I don't need to hear what he's doing. I don't need where he's at in his rehab process. I don't need to know what he's doing on his social media pages. How about you just do some work and cover maybe one of the other 90 players that are about to begin organized team activities with the Cleveland Browns, or one of the other 90 players that are going to be at training camp? I mean, this is beyond ridiculous. Do some work, research some other players, talk about one of these fantastic UDFAs that grew up in the state of Ohio. Put some work in, pound some pavement. Don't just throw Deshaun Watson's name out there for an easy way to get some clicks. Nobody gives a damn. Now, a couple of things in regards to, I guess, the rules committee, this thing, and the other things. The approving of NFL players to participate in 2028 in flag football. I mean, I guess, and that's fine. I do not want any of my players participating in the Olympics in flag football. The injury risk is just too great. Do you want to lose a star player to a ruptured Achilles, a torn ACL, so they can show off playing flag football and dominating and destroying and embarrassing some amateur athletes from foreign countries? Even if they are professional, how good would they be? Because if they were that good, the NFL would have found them. Don't get me wrong. Do I think it's interesting? Would I have every intention of watching it? It's football. I love the game. But I would not want to see any legitimate NFL talent there due to the risk of injury. No thanks. I'm good. The butt fumble and teams trying to get rid of it. There are some issues I have with the play overall. It's not the play itself. I think it's the way it's kind of ran. I think there's some things to me that seem like it's not falling in line with some of the rules. It always seems like the linemen are all above where the ball is. So basically, anybody who is on the line of scrimmage, the way I see this run by the Philadelphia Eagles, has a whole bunch of people not behind the ball or on the ball, but over the ball, which is a penalty. It's never called. And if you're the Eagles, why change it until somebody calls it, right? The Eagles have mastered it, and it works really, really well for them. If the Eagles are willing to adapt and just meet me on the, hey, can we not have the entire line over the line of scrimmage? I don't see that there's anything to necessarily ban. And because the way they line up isn't worth banning the play, it's something that opponents have not figured out to this point. But that also does not mean at some point they will. If you guys remember a couple of years ago, Jacoby Brissett was the king of 3rd and inches, 4th and inches, and was getting him and being successful on them at an absolutely amazing rate. And then he wasn't anymore. Somebody will eventually figure it out and will come up with the recipe, the master plan to make that play unsuccessful. But the play itself, I do not see a reason in banning it. Again, I do have my issue with how the Eagles line it up because it just doesn't look legal in that standpoint. But the play itself certainly is. And I still think of Jason Kelsey talking about it once his career was over and basically like, "Oh god, here we go again." And then basically Jason Kelsey talking about, "I'm about to be on the bottom of a pile with well over 2,000 pounds of human being on me." Hey, it's the sacrifice for the game. But look, the Eagles want to continue to run it. Alls I ask is that, you meet me halfway on the, "Hey, make sure everybody's lined up on side." But other than that, go scratch. Find a way to stop it. Find a way to stop it. The Philadelphia Eagles are not world champions because of the tush push. They are world champions because they are a damn good football organization. Banning's not going to change that. I wanted to expand a little bit today from yesterday because I got a couple messages sent my way in my regards to, how I was speaking on Shador Sanders and, basically, the aura that's around him. And certainly there is right now, and I told you, I think the fan bases, if they all aren't already, are absolutely ready to fall for Shador Sanders. And let's be honest, whatever quarterback it was, as long as you came in and, said the right things and did that, look, that is the greatest thing about not just Cleveland Browns, but Cleveland fandom overall. You do the right thing, you say the right things. This fan base will back you like no other fan base will. But some of the questions I was getting were regards to, how is this going to work as far as, what I believe is going to be probably an accelerated pace, for Shador to see the field. And look, this could certainly apply to Dylan Gabriel as well. Again, from yesterday, it's going to be tough to talk about one without trying to make it sound like you're slighting the other. And, we'll speak on one, we will speak on the other, we will give our opinion on what we see. And positive words for one don't necessarily mean negative words for the other, and vice versa. But I think Shador is just that electric. And now Brett Coleman, if you guys don't know him, Brett is absolutely fantastic. And if you don't know him, it's Kollman, not Cole. And he's reporting and basically tells you, I'm not someone to report things. And I've certainly had a lot of conversations in the past with Brett. So I know he has some contact within the Browns buildings in Berea. And basically, Brett mentioned today that, for anybody who was trying to say the Shador pick was, Jimmy Haslam kind of getting in there, he's saying that it is an Andrew Berry selection. And I'm not saying Jimmy might not have been interested. Certainly could be. We all saw Jimmy Haslam rocking his Jordans out of Colorado Pro Day, having a good time with, Coach Sanders, Dion, Travis Hunter, all of the crew. But Andrew Berry ultimately made the selection. And could this end up certainly, causing an issue with their selection of Dylan Gabriel at 94 overall when he drafted Shador at 144? I'm not sure the Browns potentially care. And I think if he had told Cleveland, hey, if you take 7 quarterbacks, one of them's going to be the guy, Cleveland probably would have taken 7 quarterbacks. That was the desperation level of getting this done. Now, is it a guarantee that Shador or Dylan Gabriel are going to be the guy? Nah, there's no guarantee, obviously. And we took to social media about this last night. And, Jake Burns, we were tweeting back and forth about it. And our good friend, and I don't know if you all know Ryan Burns at Football Sickness, on the West Coast, but a huge, huge Cleveland Browns guy as well. I certainly see the reason people could believe that, Shador or Dylan Gabriel aren't ready week 1. Most likely going to play under center a little bit more. Things that neither guy is really that familiar with. Not that I believe it is that big of a stretch. reading the defenses, making the calls, all of this. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, of course. But I just don't believe that, one guy at 24 and the other guy at 23, when we are sitting here talking on May 20th, that these guys would not be ready to go, you know, come the first Sunday or second Sunday in September. These guys have played a lot of football. They're intelligent football players. The Browns could certainly have them coached up and be ready to go. I do also wonder, with Tommy Rees taking over as offense coordinator, is there going to be a belief of, hey, yes, we want them to learn our system, but B, would we want to have some things in our system that certainly we know Dylan Gabriel is capable of using and performing, and certainly the same case for Shedeur Sanders. I think you'd be foolish not to, correct? I mean, you're trying to put your young players in the best possible position to succeed. So if you are doing that, having them with some things that they are extremely comfortable with certainly is not a terrible idea by any means, certainly whatsoever. But I think with the way Shador is kind of captivating the city and captivating the fan base, and Joel Bitonio speaking on that he felt these guys really just kind of came in and looked to the part right away as far as how you're supposed to handle yourself. I don't think it's going to be long before, and again, Gabriel and Sanders together. I don't think it's going to be long before the Browns, and I'm talking about the coaching staff and certainly the general manager, are going to view that these guys are, maybe not week one contenders, but as early as September possible playing time contenders. And if Sanders just continues to behave like he has and, you know, go around the city and, kind of embrace the city, embrace those embracing him, it could go a long way as far as influencing a decision from Coach Kevin Stefanski as to how soon he's ready to employ, I guess we'll use the word, the rookie quarterbacks into actually physically playing in the regular season. Again, whatever quarterback starts week one, and, it very well could be a Kenny Pickett, or very well could be, of course, a Joe Flacco. I would start the rookies from week one. I really would. And, oh, it's a brutal schedule. Well, to a rookie, every schedule is brutal, especially at the quarterback position. There is no easy schedule when you are a rookie coming into the NFL. I just don't know. Because for me, it would be I'm playing Kenny Pickett or I'm playing Joe Flacco as QB1 because I think Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco can get me to the playoffs. If you truly believe that, then there is no discussion to be had between myself or any of you who think that. I just don't know that a Kenny Pickett-led Cleveland Browns or a Joe Flacco-led Cleveland Browns gets me to the playoffs. So if it gets me to 6 wins, 7 wins, I understand that looks better to a fan base, but does it give me the real, in my opinion, what I think I need? And that's a read on Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, because I have 2 first-round picks in April 2026 in that draft. Gabriel or Sanders or both could play fantastic as rookies, and it could not matter one iota. The Browns could say, we are taking one of these quarterbacks. I don't care. We are not going down the one-way road that we did for 3 seasons at the quarterback position. So if I got to go out in 2026 with said rookie, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, I'd rather have 3 quarterbacks worthy of playing than having none, or one masquerading as one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL and basically pulled a bank heist of Jimmy Haslam's money. As you think about what the Browns would be capable of in 2025, you certainly have to look at the rest of the roster, the rest of the position groups. You know, it's hard to say where the running back room is at, as much as we all are excited about, Judkins and Sampson, and rightfully so. But it's hard to believe, just what that room is going to be. And for this team to be a playoff contender in 2025, maybe the expectations we're putting on that, both Judkins and Sampson hit as rookies is maybe unfair or unrealistic. We're asking that Deontay Johnson has everything in check and can just come out and contribute for this football team. Big ask, right? Certainly been an issue for a couple of seasons now, right? I keep talking about Cedric Tillman and, that 3-game stretch last season where he looked like he was really, really coming into his own. Could be a mirage. Could possibly never reach that level. I mean, this is real. You know, everyone, oh, well, the offensive line is going to go back to the old system, da da da, and all of a sudden everything's going to be hunky dory. Well, Joe Bitonio is not any younger. Ethan Posick is not any younger. Wyatt Teller is not any younger. Jack Conklin is not any younger. All of these guys, now into their 30s, have had injury issues within the past few seasons, and to the point where they either missed time or they were hampered from said injuries. Harold Fannin to become a contributor as a mid-round rookie tight end. Again, it's possible, but it could also be unrealistic as well. Hoping that the defensive line, everybody takes a step up. Mason Graham is worthy and proves worthy from day one of being the number 5 overall pick. Michael Hall is healthy quickly and performing like we hopefully think his tenure here in Cleveland will do. Juwan Briggs goes from showing some promise as a rookie to becoming a reliable rotational defensive tackle. Isaiah McGuire can find a sack total that warrants the amount of snaps he's going to get, north of 5, hopefully closer to 8. I mean, again, all of these things, this is a lot of asks to believe that this team can contend in 2025. Again, a lot of these things could go right. Some other teams in the AFC North could deal with their own issues, and Pittsburgh's got theirs, and Cincinnati certainly has got theirs. Who knows? Maybe Baltimore, it's a key injury or two that all of a sudden changes the face of what that team looks like overall. But I mean, these are a lot of things we're asking for and maybe hoping for or predicating to happen that would ease the path for the Browns to find a way in to the playoff party for 2025. Again, could happen, but again, it's a lot of things, and it may be unrealistic to ask for that many things to actually break for this football team in 2025. So we'll start to get a better read on this 2025 squad. I believe it is next Wednesday when the whole gang is together for OTAs, minus some. We can kind of figure out probably who those guys will be. And now we're trying to, have people mention or bring up that they know how the quarterback splits are going to work already. I don't know, man. I'm not sure that information is really something that the Browns are probably leaking just yet. And, again, it doesn't matter who's taking the first rep, the second rep, the third, or the fourth. It doesn't matter. It matters about who's best. It matters about who can find a way to, find the best version of themselves within the Coach Stefanski and Tommy Rees offense. Who's going to be able to hit that backside dig, right? That's going to be one of the most important things. Who's going to be able to hit these rollouts? That's things that are going to matter. The pecking order of how they all start, if you want to hang your hat on that, or, you want to believe that's going to be the be all end all, I don't know, man. And I honestly think it's speculation because, look, we know Coach Stefanski tries to keep things close to the belt. He's always done that in his entire time here. I doubt all of a sudden here now in year 6, whatever, all of a sudden he's, leaning to certain members of the media and giving away his plan. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I don't believe. I'm not taking it as truth. I'm not taking it as fact. Who knows? Not for me. And again, I don't care. It won't be hard, and we will know which quarterback is performing the best. We'll listen to Zach Jackson. We should all listen last summer, right? Um, you know, when we get to this time of year, it starts to become more not necessarily about the top players. And maybe that does change a little bit this year within Browns fandom. You know what I'm saying? Without the high draft picks the last few years, it's always kind of leaned into, you know, who's the UDFA everybody's got the crush on. I don't know if that's the kind of coverage we're necessarily going to have this year because, I mean, you've got a number 5 overall pick and an extremely likable young man at defensive tackle in Mason Graham. I mean, as far as, you locals in Ohio, I mean, how in the world is not Quinshon Judkins basically something that you are looking at every single day and anything written about him or anything said about him? Of course, Carson Swessinger kind of looks like he could, audition for a movie star. I'm sorry, audition for a superhero movie. Got the build, got the look, got the lettuce, and certainly had the tape last year in LA to prove it. Fanning again, you know, Northeast Ohio kid, local kid, drafted high, certainly going to be a huge, huge part of all of this. With, of course, Dylan Gabriel. And, when we talk about Dylan Sampson and, everybody, oh, well, the running back they took in the 4th round, Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson runs a 4.4 flat. Dylan Sampson, who I compare favorably to former Notre Dame star and Dallas Cowboys star Julius Jones. Yeah, he was drafted in the 4th round, but he was also the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. And the SEC may not be what it used to be, but being the SEC Offensive Player of the Year still carries a little clout, I would say. And of course, Morshador, who everybody's just, again, really, really starting to fall for. And rightfully so. The kid has done everything right to this point. Certainly knows how to seem to embrace, the city, the fans, very importantly, the youth in the Ohio and Cleveland area, of course. So I'm not sure how much love there's going to be for, the UDFAs that everybody's always trying to root for every year. And we've certainly had them, wide receivers, certainly in the past, a tight end years before that, of course. But I think just saying and mentioning all these new players who are high picks brings back an excitement level that I think a lot of people haven't had because the last few years about this time, it was talking about, 3 years ago, the new quarterback, 2 years ago, okay, let's see what the quarterback's got now that all the nonsense and the suspensions and everything are behind him. And then, of course, last year, well, the team played really well. What would the team have done if the quarterback hadn't broken his shoulder? Blah, blah, blah. No, we're just not having those conversations anyway whatsoever anymore. Nobody cares. Everybody knows it's over. He is a part of this organization basically on paper, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I know he works out of the team facilities. They have to let him do it. But again, you, me, my dog, we all got a better opportunity to quarterback the Cleveland Browns in 2025. and beyond than DW4 will ever have. Continue. The react will be up afterwards. Pete Smith, Brad Ward, these guys crush it. You guys know it's, definitely one of the most frequented and watched shows here on the OBR streaming network. Always a good time. Always good listen. Brad puts together a great topic, great, range of topics, and he and Pete just basically beat him to death with, great content. So make sure you stick around for that, of course. Um, Brown's 3D with your host, Jeff Lloyd, has been brought to you here on the OBR streaming network. We appreciate everybody who comes to the OBR daily, to get their dose of written content from the great team of writers here. Joins us every night starting at 6 o'clock on the OBR streaming network with Brown's 3D, with me hosting, of course, and the various shows that come out throughout the week. You had a film breakdown last night with Sam Penix and Jacob Roche, breaking down Carson Schlesinger. Again, you will have the react tonight, Brad Wharton, Pete Smith. Make sure you subscribed to the OBR on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed to the OBR over on Twitch as well. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. Browns 3D on the OBR, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.